For March the 11th, 2016, we talk about some new Hearthstone announcements, a whole bunch of older games, and we ask you if you've ever broken your video game hardware. Welcome to Level 141. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Jala Prendez.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for listening. Let's see here. How do we want to open this up?
I did a room escape.
You did?
I did,
cool.
like an actual physical one. I didn't just talk about like iOS apps that you can get for free on that one time.
you didn't just lock yourself in a closet.
No, I didn't do that either. I actually did a legit room escape because an art buddy of mine that I haven't seen in a while was like, hey, dude, we need to hang out. I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? I don't know. So I did what I do, and I look for stuff to do, and I found a room escape, and I'm like, do the thing. I've never done that in person. I've only played iOS apps. So we ended up,
how was it?
It was fun. It actually, the cabinet thing ended up having like a door to another room in it, and so
it was a real Narnia situation.
Yeah, so we ended up like going through a couple of rooms, and we had to not only escape, but we also had to figure out who actually murdered somebody and where the weapon was and a bunch of crap like that. And it was really fun, and we got out within like 10 minutes before our time was up. So we did the thing.
Well done.
Nice.
Yeah. It was fun.
Did you have like an hour?
Yeah,
okay.
It was an hour. I would love to see like a whole freaking, like house where it's like, no, okay, you have like 8 hours, go have fun.
Yeah.
Then you have to unlock yourself from this, and then it would be a total like 999 zero escape kind of situation.
Well, they're throwing a 999 themed room escape over in Japan. I forget if it's in Tokyo. I don't know which city it's in, but I looked at some of the promotional materials, and boy, oh boy, does that seem really appealing.
Oh yeah, and they even have room escapes over in Japan where you can basically press pause and come back and continue from where you were. Like, yeah, you
interesting.
So they can basically record your progress after you unlock a certain area, and then you can leave and then come back and do it later and keep going. They have a thing where you can do that, and I think that's really cool because that means you can do far more complicated things than just a very, very simple, here's the one room or a couple of rooms, escape within an hour of the end. You
don't think that would lose some of the tension that is inherent to the medium?
Like, if you want to do the thing and you're like, oh man, I want to go back and continue on. Where are you at? Oh, I can do that part again or whatever. Like, that would be fun. And see just how they make it fresh and how they keep it up. You know. I mean, sometimes you can't devote a whole day to being locked in rooms and,
Yeah.
So.
I don't know, like whenever, so we have one here in town that's actually like right down the street from me. Like I could walk to it right now. I dare you. I dare you to dare me.
Have you been there or no?
No, I have.
Why?
Just because, like, I don't have a group of people. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a loner, Dottie, a rebel. No, I haven't like had a group of people to go with. A bunch of people from work have done it, but I have not.
Dennis, you need to find some time.
Yeah.
You need to take Kole. You guys need to go do the thing.
When I did it for a bachelor party, and I did it with like 7 people, I think.
Yeah.
And that to my mind was the way to do it. Go ahead.
Well, when I did mine, it was just me and my buddy, and then like, I don't know, 6 other random people, and they were all in a big group, and then it was just us 2, but we ended up having more fun actually because we had no idea who these people were. And we had to all work together and coordinate, and not everybody knew each other, and that was kind of fun actually in my mind. Not just, oh yeah, it's all these people that I know and hang out with all the time or whatever.
Well, actually, since it was a bachelor party, we didn't know each other that well because it was like the point of connection was the groom, but I didn't really, other than my brother, know anyone else.
Right. No, I like the idea of going in with a party. Like, I want to know what the group dynamic is. Because I want there to be a minimum of power struggles. I want to know who's the visual guy, who's the numbers guy, who's the
You are just very, very strategic about this then.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just say like all of that time that you spend with people working against their strengths, it's a waste.
Okay, well, Kole, then that settles it. Whenever I go up to Cincinnati, we are all going to go to a room escape.
Yeah, there we go.
Bam.
Yeah, that way we'll have 4 of us, and the odds won't be that stacked.
Solved.
Yeah.
If you do it during Christmas, you'll have 5 of us.
Ah, yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, but that would require me to go up to a place that's north in the cold.
Yeah, that would be a little bit much.
And that's stretching it because I have no cold tolerance at all.
Well, if you go on Halloween, there will be 6 of us, and I can't really explain that math.
I don't understand. I don't understand a lick of it. Oh, but that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that, Jala.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably about time that we got on with the show a little bit. Now that our anecdote time is over, we got the usual kind of jive for you. We got the brief, the multiplayer, and the grind, and we're gonna start with the brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. Does anybody have a story they want to volunteer to go first?
I've got one that I think is kind of interesting.
Okay.
So I'm going to do my Hearthstone news desk as I drop in on every once in a while. Yeah. So they've announced a couple of things. The first thing that they announced was an announcement, which is very typical of Blizzard. And there's nothing to talk about there. There's some big changes coming to Hearthstone, and I'm not going to talk about them too much here. But format changes, and certain cards are going away, and other cards are going to be changed. So it's like there's a big shuffle that's about to happen. But the thing that I think they surprised everyone with today was that they announced they're going to have deck recipes, they're calling it, as a part of the whole big update. And what they mean by that is pre-made decks that are already kind of complete 30-card sets that accomplish a certain theme or a type of deck that are just going to be available for people. Now, the cards won't be free, but the like recipe, the list, will be, there. So that a new player who's like for the first time trying to figure out, okay, what does a good Hearthstone deck look like, can just go to this list instead of flailing about by themselves.
Wait a minute. So they don't already have these with like deck types, like with the Hunter and Paladin and whatnot?
They don't. So there are the classes, but it's actually, they've been very intentional in the past. It's felt like about not recognizing the archetypes that have arisen within a class.
Okay.
So what happens is, net decking essentially is what they call it. But, there's a whole bunch of list of the most viable decks online.
Yeah. I mean, just like there would be for like Magic, there's a meta around it.
Yeah, exactly. And so, that's very prevalent, and anyone who wants to play competitively is paying attention to those. But, the Hearthstone team has never actually acknowledged it. Or, there's things like the Zoolock, or, the Control Warrior, or, all these different things that are very much a part of the vernacular of Hearthstone. And the team, the developers, have always ignored it. And I think that what they've wanted the game to be is this like, oh, well, it's wild and wacky and fun. You kind of come up with your own crazy combinations and figure it out on your own, and that's part of the fun.
That is so naive.
Yes, exactly. Well, it's interesting because this feels like too little, too late, because net decking is already out there. So if anyone really wants a viable deck list, they're going to go to the internet. And what they've done, however, is these lists are wild and wacky and fun things that don't really exist yet. So as an example, the Hunter class is usually very focused on being aggressive and trying to end the game quickly. And one of their deck recipes is a very control, slow-paced version of that class. And so it's one of the things where you look at it and just go like, okay, like I don't this is not what this class is about. What are you? It's like they're like, okay, no one was wild and wacky and figured it out for themselves, so we're going to be wild and wacky for you. Damn it.
we're going to build decks against type. Like,
yes, yeah. It's like, you created the type. What are you doing? But I almost feel bad. So like, they're interesting ideas, and I could actually see myself creating these just to see how they play as like entertainment. But I feel bad because someone put a lot of time and thought into these decks, and they're never going to be competitive. So it's like, this will be an oddity. It'll be something for people to, haha, check this out. It's a hunter deck that doesn't act like a hunter deck, and then leave it alone. And they'll kind of put in all this effort for nothing. Because again, if anyone wants a deck list, they're going to go online.
Yeah, and they're going to look at what the most successful players are playing and then mimic it, right?
Yeah. The one potential saving grace is that if you don't have a card in the deck list, it will suggest replacement cards for you, which is a really interesting concept. So it's like, hey, this card is super rare. You might not have this because you're probably a new player if you're looking at this. So here are a couple suggested replacements that you actually own. And that seems really cool to me. Like, that piece of it, I think, has some utility. And I could see someone with a very incomplete card collection getting their use out of that. Mm-hmm. But I think it would be in the context of learning how to kind of sub out cards versus actually using the entire deck. So it's like, I don't have this rare card. I can look at this pre-made deck just for that card to see what they're suggesting replacing it with. Yeah. And then I'll take that replacement and plug it into my other deck.
Right.
So it might have some utility, but not in the way they're intending.
So it's weird. Like that's a weird way to get at this equivalence data, right?
Yeah. Again, really well intentioned. Definitely a nod to new players. Mm-hmm. They're still pretending this huge part of the game doesn't exist, which is net decks. So it's like, it's interesting. And, new stuff is always fun, so fine, and they're not taking anything away from me, so fine. But it's weird to see them, if they're going to make a concession, if they're going to take steps in this direction, why just kind of turn and pretend that a
is this going to turn into a
exist?
rap?
I guess.
But why are they going to pretend this thing doesn't exist, even though they are making a nod? So like the solution, like the way they could circle the square would be to allow user made decks to go into this interface.
Yeah, exactly. I think you could have like community suggested decks that get like upvoted Reddit style. Yeah. And within the Hearthstone client, you could just pull up a list of those. I think that would be hugely useful.
Is there anything in their verbiage that implies that like the door is closed on that? Because like by using this with Blizzard generated decks, it kind of sounds like they are testing out this mechanic before they open up the floodgates. It feels like an exploratory probe into that particular orifice.
Yeah, go ahead, Jala.
I was just going to say that was very creepy and weird, Kole.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Don't worry.
Only if you point it out as creepy and weird.
Yeah. Shrimping.
That's from a different show.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
They don't specifically say they will never acknowledge fan-made decks, but that's because they won't acknowledge that there are fan-made decks. So I can't tell what of it is they're going to refuse to acknowledge it, and what of it is they're refusing to acknowledge it.
Yeah, well, I wonder if that's like a balance thing, because if all of a sudden they give you an easy way to figure out which cards are most popular, that would immediately tank the economy for like those cards that are most popular.
You zero in on what you need, but these lists are not hard to find. Like Google is your friend. So,
but I mean, there's a difference between like de facto and de jure, right?
Yeah, that's true. And kind of knowing which of those decks to pursue given the current meta is important. So there's still a level of skill there. Yeah. Like I said, I'll be interested to try these decks just for lulz, and that'll be good.
Please don't say that.
Ooh.
No, I'm just letting you, like that's against the Duckfeed style guy.
I understand. Yeah. I will send you my Duckfeed reparation points in the mail.
Cool.
Anyway, but I'll try them just for their entertainment value, to get a rise, and then kind of leave them.
Cool.
And that's fine. Like I said, they're not taking anything away, but they could have been focusing on something else. So,
do you find that you're still playing a lot of Hearthstone?
Oh yeah. Pretty much every day.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't talk about it on the show because I figure I have a Slack channel for that now. So I've got the outlet. Which is, my God, I think someone pointed out that is the longest running channel that isn't show dedicated.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones, like outside of the like tabletop or whatever. Like you guys just ruined the tabletop. It was like, fine, fuck it.
create
Go
your own little
over
area.
there.
Hold on. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is like separate and distinct, and like
Yeah.
you know, you play it really often. Like you play it more often than you would play a tabletop thing.
Yeah. And it's a great community within a great community. So
Yeah, I feel even though I don't play Hearthstone, I feel bad that I'm not in there because I know it is on and or popping.
you won't. It'll literally be gibberish to someone who's not intimately familiar.
Yeah.
I attempted to read your guys' posts at one time, trying to parse it, and then also trying to sort out where the hell everything that was not Hearthstone was. And I couldn't figure out anything. I was like, okay, maybe let me learn about this game. No.
Yeah, no,
No, I don't know.
It's like reading people talking about Destiny. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, it's like, saying like I bounced Leroy with a panda and then shadow stepped him for lethal is like, well,
And then
what?
you mambo dog face to the banana patch. Like, I don't even know, man.
Yeah.
But
So
I did make the effort. It just didn't work for me.
It's deep waters. You got to watch out.
Oh, Jala, how about you? You got a story?
I have a couple of stories. The first one's really, really short. Thief is coming to the big screen, theoretically, anyway. The rights were bought. The script is in the hands of Adam Mason and Simon Boyes. They've said that it's going to be set in a steampunk Victorian Gothic world where Garrett is trying to restore freedom to the people of the city by going against the tyrannical Baron. Gee, doesn't that sound exciting? Anyway, they don't have a director announced yet or anything, but whatever. The rights are out there and somebody's planning it. We'll see what happens.
Adam Mason has written such notable films as The Devil's Chair from 2007, Blood River from 2009, and Misconduct from 2016. None of which exceeded a 6-star at IMDb.
Yeah, like I'm not exactly. I was just like, oh, is that going to be a thing now? Oh.
They're
Yeah.
slow burns.
So that was the first thing, which means that that's I'm sure whatever the next Thief game is going to tie into that. Anyway, the other story I have is about an indigenous tribe from Brazil creating a game with anthropologists and obviously game devs to preserve its culture. It's a game called Huni Kuin. I'm probably mispronouncing it. The Way of the Snake. It's going to be free on PC and Mac as of April. It's a platformer, and in the game, it basically looks like a Flash game, but the people in the game are speaking the actual language, and they have subtitles. So that way you can learn about that, and then you can play like... I think it's a hunter and I forget what the other one is, but there's two characters you can play, and it's just a platformer. The music is actually pretty interesting. When I was watching the video that was in the article that I read, it was pretty awesome. So, I mean, even though it looks kind of like a Flash game and it looks like a quickie platformer, it does tell a little bit about the culture, and you have interactions in the town and stuff like that. It was also mentioned and compared to Never Alone, which is a game about indigenous Alaskan people. Yeah. And David bought that for me a while ago, and I just haven't played it yet. It's on that roster with other stuff.
Yeah, that was also in the most recent Humble Monthly Bundle.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a thing. It's coming out. I think that's cool that, there's this kind of awareness of, hey, people play games. We can use this and like make games that actually, as like a way to kind of get our culture and stuff out there where people can see it. So
yeah, that's definitely, I mean, like games, like mainstream games are definitely like reflective of our own culture, right? Insofar as it is good to, build things and acquire points, and generally you're working for yourself instead of others. Like a lot of that stuff is just codified because that's what we look at it through. So like, there's no reason that it couldn't be used to help. Preserve is one thing, but like convey is another thing. Like just kind of super cool. And if you didn't know this was based in a real life culture, and you took those rules and you took those kind of like apparent values, it would feel like a fantasy thing, but it feels much richer because it is representative of people who actually live.
Yep. Yep. And I like anthropology. I like culture. It's interesting. So this is a thing that I will want to check out. And the little video also has a clip where you can hear that indigenous language. So it's pretty cool. The subtitles are in Portuguese because Brazil, but you know.
So you mentioned what was the name of the game that did the Alaskan population?
Oh, the one for Alaska is Never Alone.
Okay. You jogged my memory. Not all games like this are good. I don't think I ever talked about it on the show, but you remember when I played Papo.io?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was really excited, and I bought Spirits of Spring, which was their next game.
Yeah.
And that was like the whole Alaskan indigenous.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it used that mythology, and that game sucked so bad. I talked about it when I opened it once and was like, "Oh, I think it's fun." And I had this afterglow from Papo.io, and it's bad. So
I don't, and I don't necessarily think this is gonna be the best game ever, but I think it's pretty cool that it's not the only one out there, and that there's more of these out there, and that this one's gonna be free, so I'm totally gonna check it out.
Yeah.
Even if I don't know what the hell's happening, it's fine.
Yeah. It still needs to be a good game. It's like it's like that Parks and Rec thing where like, and up next we have something from the Afro-Norwegian lesbian sister folk duo so and so. Yes, it's quite horrible, but they are lesbians. Like it does need to be playable. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, like from what I see, it's just like a pretty straightforward platformer with some parts where they talk and do stuff, and it has music and things, and that's nice.
Huh.
So that's my very technical explanation of it.
Yeah, you do things and it's nice.
Yes.
So let's see. I'm going to cut in with a real quick one, which is Cyan Studios, the developers behind the original Myst games, 1, 2, and then 5. Not Exile. No, that's 3. 4 is Revelation. That was also Cyan, and 5 was Revelation was Ubisoft. Fuck.
So their final puzzle was figuring out which games they did.
Yeah, I forget what Myst 5 was called, but it was like End of Ages. There we go. No, but they a couple years ago, they kickstarted a game called Obduction, as distinct from Abduction. It's spelled with an O, and it looks very similar to Myst insofar as it's these cool alien landscapes with kind of human settlements and structures kind of peppered into them, and it's very much supposed to be a spiritual successor to those games. Well, that's gotten a release date coming out here in June of 2016. The cool thing about this is that they're kind of designing it to be to be controlled in two ways. The first of which is kind of like the regular walking around, looking at stuff, WASD and mouse controls, and the other is something similar to kind of just like the point and click of the original Myst games, which would be, you click on a point of interest and you're brought over there and given like a camera view, right? And this continued on even into Myst 3 and 4, which were still 2D but gave you kind of these 360 views of the puzzles here. But this is a full 3D world, but they're trying to kind of like make it as reminiscent of those old games as possible, if you want it to be, even in the control mechanism. So yeah, I'm super excited about this. Just because here's the funny thing: I can't remember if I backed this on Kickstarter or not.
So you might have it.
I might already have like an early access version of it. They may be asking for my input. Like, but man, that was a crazy time, like late 2012, early 2013, for just backing Kickstarters. So I can't remember what I have, so I need to go back and dig through my records because I can't remember which account that's on, etc. But regardless, I'm going to be looking for it.
Nice.
Yeah. Any questions about that?
Nope.
All right. And finally, Ben, how about you?
So also coming out this June is the game No Man's Sky, which was that the release date was announced this week. So it's I think June 21st. And so there was a good amount of news about it this week. They also announced a $150 collector's edition of the game that'll be released for both PC and console. That has various things with it, like music and models and stuff like that. But the story I wanted to talk about specifically is one of the details that they revealed about the game was some of the alien races and some of the details about them. More specifically, that even though the alien races are procedurally generated, they're going to have different languages, and part of the game mechanics is learning the different languages of the different alien races.
And
blows my mind.
Wait a minute. Okay, like you say, it's part of the mechanic. Does it expect you to decode it on your own as the player, or is it just a matter of exposure brings more of it into English?
So they said that for the most part, the languages are just one-to-one with the English language. So it's just swapping out vocabulary and figuring out what words mean. So that doesn't seem, so it's kind of simple in that sense.
But it's still English syntax. They just have a different vocabulary.
Yeah, but they did say that's not true for all of them. Specifically, as it said, one race has a language that's particularly difficult to learn, and that people will probably have to communicate with one another online to figure it out. So it's more challenging, I guess.
It's always funny when they're like, oh, this one's going to be pretty hard to figure out. They find the ending to PT within like 2 days.
Yeah.
And so they also mentioned that there's not going to be like deep tree structure dialogues in the game. It's more trying to communicate with alien races to figure out, like, to trade with them or to get technology from them and things like that. But it's I think they said that the dialogue was procedurally generated as well. So that sounds pretty interesting. Yeah. And the last detail they mentioned is they said that each race will have different attributes to them. And so depending upon your strategy of the game, I guess they haven't released like a lot of details about what the overarching objective of the game is, but they said that based on how you want to play the game, you might want to ally with certain races. They might better suit like your interests. And so the example they gave was, if you're aggressive and you just want to conquer all the planets that you go across or whatever, you might want to befriend one of the more aggressive races to be friends with. So
Interesting.
yeah.
There's no way this game delivers on everything it's promising. I cannot.
I am so hesitant to get excited about this.
I want to know what the game is before I get excited about it. So I
Precisely.
I think I'll have pretty level expectations for it, but we'll see.
But it's like people talk about this game with bated breath, right? Mm-hmm. And it's, like I want to understand, like I want to know, right? Like just let me know what's here. But like it's so slippery. What you do, like, oh, you explore, but an infinite, entirely random world might as well just be noise.
Okay, you could say the same thing about Minecraft, though.
Right, but but there's biomes and stuff like that. Like there's still interesting stuff to look at, and so yeah, definitely like Minecraft is still there. You can make your own fun, but like Minecraft has that creation element to it, which for me is kind of the big deal, right? Like you're exploring, but for me, exploring is always in service of kind of like making the system work better, finding the resources to make what I need. In the times where I played that. So, but this, it feels like everything that I've seen makes it look like it's just exploration for exploration's sake through a whole bunch of like really pretty stuff, but I have no idea what I'm actually supposed to do. Like it's weird. I'm actually more excited for Dreams than this. And I know even less about what Dreams is.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole, when you discover something, you get to name it, right?
Right.
Which is interesting because then you could say it's the whole race to discover something for the first time and then find a name for it that hasn't been used already.
Yeah.
That seems like a bad mechanic, by the way. There's going to be a lot of trolling planets, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there are going to be a lot of planets that have some mean things to say about Anita Sarkeesian, but yeah, I don't know. Like any of those systems in a vacuum sounds really cool, but like that whole relations and alliances thing, like there's a version of that I can see being great, and there's a version that's like super shallow, which is like who comes to your aid in a fight.
Yeah. Has gaming found the next Peter Molyneux?
I don't know. Like I don't know what else this studio has done off the top of my head. Like
this is like their maybe
they
not
did
their first.
The one Joe bike game.
Joe Danger.
Yeah, that's it.
Like weird 2D, physics based racer.
That's that I have like 5 copies of because of bundles and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hesitate to throw the Molyneux accusation at somebody. Man, did you guys see that Lionhead's closing down?
No. Wow.
Yeah.
Go figure. Huh.
Yeah.
Side brief.
Side brief. Like, I don't have anything else to say about it except like, oh, it wasn't working out. So Microsoft decided to close the studio. That sucks for those people, but
Yep.
Interesting.
yeah. Well, that was a very full brief section. Does anybody else have anything to say about No Man's Sky?
No, man.
All right.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer section where we ask you a question and you answer. It is the listener participation section. Dennis, what is the question that we ask the nice people?
Yeah, the question is about how we beat up on our gaming hardware. So whether it's throwing a controller in frustration or leaving a Game Boy out in the rain overnight, what's the worst thing you've ever done to your gaming hardware?
All right, and I'm going to pick us up with Eric, who says, my red Game Boy Pocket drank 2 glasses of orange juice. Well, that got spilled on it anyway. It got scraped up bad by the inside of a lazy boy. The buttons had some chunks missing, and there was a visible scar on the device, but it actually still worked. I was blown away. I don't have it anymore, but that's because I lost it, not because it succumbed to the sweet release of death, possibly from a 3rd glass of orange juice or a dastardly futon.
He's rough, man. And then you lost the thing in the end. Oh my God.
He's out there waiting for you, Eric. Go find him. This is aren't you terrified of the bravest little toaster situation? Come on.
Well, I had this theory that Game Boys and cockroaches would be the only thing left on the planet when the aliens destroyed everything else.
Yeah, no, when I rob that bank, my body armor is going to be made out of like 1st generation Game Boys.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And Nokia phones.
If I rob that bank, thanks, Judge. Yeah, yeah, but no, definitely, I was going to say that. Like, I remember reading like EGM stuff where they like articles where they would just throw Game Boy Advances off of roofs in order
Yeah.
to like, and they would still play at the end. They would flush them in toilets. They would do all this kind of stuff, and it would still work. Like, I don't know if Nintendo stuff still holds up to that amount of like scrutiny. Mostly because I'm not a child who abuses his stuff, but yeah.
The original
You're an
NES
adult who
control-
abuses his stuff.
I take very good care of my stuff. Thank you. What were you going to say, Jala?
original NES controllers were pretty hardcore too. They were they were hard to destroy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love mine. Although the rubber, my childhood NES controller, the select button is mostly chewed up.
You have to have like a pin just to poke the hole where there used to be a button.
Yeah, you just push it in with your nail. It's fine. Jala, what does Christopher say?
Christopher says, I horribly abused my NES by putting a Bible Adventures cart inside it. That's actually kind of like horrible in a funny way, like at least to a certain extent. And then it's like, okay, no. But
I just like the idea of the NES spitting out the cartridge and saying, what the fuck was that shit?
Trust me, you'll thank me.
Yeah. Boy, my 360 and my PS3, the things it would say to me after the years of me just checking shit out from GameStop on a lark. Oh, I hope they don't remember. I hope they don't. Ben, what does Daniel say?
I just imagine you feeding your consoles booze before you put in the games.
that's what Daniel said? Okay.
No. That's Daniel says, while I don't have my own story, I do have a friend who ate a PS1 memory card.
Jesus.
He'd been playing a game for a few days, and his save data somehow got corrupted. Destroying the card and then consuming it was the only thing that calmed his rage.
Okay.
Wow.
Intense
Yeah.
intestines.
I become the data.
Yes, it is now a part of me. Like, that is how subservient you are to me. That is how little I regard you. Is I will either turn you into shit or a doctor will remove this from me. Daniel, I hate to be a hard case about this, but did you see this with your own eyes? And do you have pictures of it? Because that really does sound like something a friend would say to you on a schoolyard. I just want to make sure it's a good story. And I just can't imagine the lengths. He might as well have just ripped off his own head. He was so angry.
Yeah. This is like some World of Warcraft freak out stuff going on here.
Huh. Dennis, what does Alex say?
Alex says, in a fit of game rage, I once smacked my Dreamcast on its lid hard enough to loose the spinning disc inside, causing it to beat around a bit. I later discovered both the disc and the reader suffered damage. The game was Grandia? Yep, Grandia 2. There we go. And I wouldn't finish the game until its PS2 release years later.
Yeah, and that PS2 release. Go ahead, what?
That sucks. I played like half of Grandia before my Dreamcast went away, and I actually haven't gotten it again yet.
That was just released on Steam here recently, too. Yeah.
Yep, and that's going to be the way I go when I get it.
Oh, for sure. There's no reason not to. No, and that PS2 version of Grandia 2 was super laggy. Like, it had terrible performance issues.
Oh, if anybody knows how the Grandia 2 is on Steam, I'm sure some of the listeners do. Tell me how it is on Steam and if it's nice.
That was
okay.
That was within the past year. Well,
yeah, I know it was pretty recent.
Yeah, I love seeing those.
I think it's on my wish list.
I love seeing those obscure Japanese games landing on Steam.
I just want to know how he was sitting.
But okay.
But I mean, like I said, that's why I corrected myself by saying semi-obscure. Like nowadays it is. Like who remembers Grandia? Like that is such an evolutionary dead end for JRPGs. But to have it just be there and accessible is great.
I want the original Grandia too. That was fun. Anyway, moving on.
Dennis, what'd you say?
Oh, I just want to know what his gaming setup was that he was sitting close enough to the console to smack it.
I mean...
Maybe he was on the floor with the thing. Like, that's totally how I did the thing. I sat on the floor to play games all the time until, like, now I have a hard floor and it's not comfortable.
Within arm's reach?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Dreamcast controller, like that cord was, like, 4 feet long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, people forget this, but, like, the Xbox controller was one of the first controllers to have, like, a cable that was over 6 feet long. I think it was, like, 8 or 9. Something like that, specifically because Microsoft knew Americans wanted to sit across their living room from their PC or from their computer, right?
My living room is never big enough, okay? Like...
Yeah. Well, no, but I mean, like, just they looked at the typical kind of American setup, whereas like just in all the pictures you see of Japanese stuff, they would put the console on the floor, and the super short controller was not a problem. Yeah. If that is a horrible generalization, I'm sorry. This is just based on what I know about the Xbox 360 controller design process. Please don't hurt me.
We're gonna make you swallow a cartridge.
And gonna make me swallow an N64 controller. Oh no! Oh gosh! And just no, you're gonna make me swallow the plug of the N64 controller, and then and have it pass through, and then I have to pull it through to purify myself. Yeah, that's upsetting. Buck writes in. I don't know that we've seen a response from Buck before. Hey, Buck.
What's up, Buck?
Hi,
yeah. Buck. Says, my sister and I shared a Game Boy when we were young warthogs. Oh, like the song. Okay. After hearing so many arguments between us about who gets to play it, my dad got fed up, snatched it out of my hands, and smashed it on the floor. Now no one gets to play the damn thing, he said, as tears started to well up in both of our eyes. My dad wasn't a mean guy, just sick of hearing us bicker over a toy. That weekend, he brought each of us our own Game Boys, a yellow one for my sister and a red one for me. I guess he felt really bad about it.
He must have been in a super rage to destroy a Game Boy. Like, damn.
No, that's like taking it away.
He wasn't playing it around, man.
Yeah, I'm happy that story has a happy ending. That would have been.
I hope they thought about which was going to play the yellow one.
No.
It's kind of funny. I have a similar story. My dad was gonna break a PS1 game disc. I forget which one it was. And I forget what I did to have him so angry, but he CDs are actually notoriously hard to actually break.
They're like combs.
What's that?
They're like combs.
Yeah. So he's like, this is going right in the trash. And then I just threw it. It was like, I was sad I was losing the game, but I kind of found it kind of amusing.
Well, yeah, no. See, the couple times I've met your dad, I've never met a more genial, pleasant guy. So it's really hard to picture that.
Well, we knew how to push his buttons.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
Well,
as only somebody you love can.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let's see here. Jala, what does Michael say?
During a childhood argument, my sister once threatened my PS2 with a pitcher of water. Not wanting to negotiate with terrorists, I instead leaned in and whispered, "Do your worst." The resultant spark show left behind a wicked cool patch of scorched carpet and wiring.
That's serious. But that was plugged into
Ooh.
that was
wow.
plugged into the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. At least you know your sister had balls.
It's,
They probably got burned off.
In
I said had.
In the long term, that's got to get her in way more trouble than whatever you were fighting about. So
Yeah.
I think you win that one.
Oh, if you can get her to pay for the replacement.
Oh yes, turn
Yeah.
it into learning a lesson.
Yeah, that's some good justice right there. Go
And
ahead.
then his dad
The
came
lesson is
home with
don't
2
cross.
PS2s.
I don't know. Like, I don't. That's some wisdom of Solomon shit there. Like, Ben, what does Douglas say?
The Wisdom of Solomon would be coming up with 2 halves of a PS2. But
Well, it's just one of those things. Like, the wisdom is, I'm going to threaten to destroy this, so that the person who really loves it, that's who it's going to go to. Except this is somebody saying, like, that argument couldn't have been over who was using the PS2 at that point.
No.
It really couldn't have been. Huh.
Douglas says, I had just gotten my PS3 and Metal Gear Solid 4. It took me a few hours, then I got mad at the vamp part. It took me several times, and when I couldn't beat him, I tossed my PS3 controller and it hit the wall. And I think the hole is still there today.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, how's the controller? Like, that's the important part.
I want to imagine the controller stuck in the wall.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like, and the one true king of Shadow Moses will be the only person who's able to extract this controller from the wall. No, that had to be I was about to say, like, unfortunately it was just a 6-axis, but no, if it's stuck in the wall, it would have to have been a dual shock. A 6-axis would have just bounced off. Like, it would still be bouncing to this day. Huh.
So, has he said anything to us before? Is he new?
Oh, Douglas Goh.
Ah.
And yeah, he said stuff.
Oh, he has?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I missed those parts. Hi,
Yeah.
Douglas.
Yeah, I don't want to set a precedent that we introduce every new person who is.
But I just
Yeah.
I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I was curious. We said hi to one guy.
Why, did you bring enough
Well,
gum
on this
for the whole
episode,
class?
this should be the nice welcoming episode since we had that hate one a little while back.
Yeah, there has to be balance in the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to this show. Here, halfway through it. Dennis, what does Steven say?
Yeah, I think new comments are Stefan Velux.
Steven's a solid bro. Like, don't.
Oh no, Steven says the first time I got mad enough to throw something was in Bloodborne during the Ebriatus fight, which was an entire week of an ordeal. Oh my god!
Yeah, that is
My nice Sony headset did not survive the impact of the floor, unfortunately.
Ooh, that is $100 mistake.
Yeah, you had to sacrifice something to the gaming gods to get through. But I bet that's what unlocked it for you eventually.
Yeah, sacrifice to the new gods to kill the old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. Wow. I can safely say a Souls game has never made me throw a controller. I've pounded on a knee. Like that is my go-to move. I pound on my knee like I'm at a hootenanny, but I will not throw. But I totally understand somebody who does. Yeah, I mean Dark Souls 3. All this could still be around the corner. Gonna pick up with Brian, who writes in saying, I unknowingly dropped my Game Boy Advance SP in the snow while walking my dog once. I didn't find it for an hour after I got home, but it worked perfectly after I let it dry out overnight.
Nice.
Man, just
Fun, bud.
I love the Game Boy Advance SP so goddamn much.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I think we covered the Nintendo hardware thing. So Jala, what does Kilo say?
Kilo says, threw a GameCube controller so it's stuck in drywall. Hey, there we go.
There it is.
Covered the hole with a Nintendo Power poster for years before anyone found out. That's awesome.
I'm just picturing it being like the end of Shawshank.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, which ironically somebody else would have to throw something in Rage to discover it. And what are the odds if they veered a couple of feet to the right, another poster goes up, and then ad infinitum until it's impossible to not hit one of the posters.
Oh man! At
pretty-
that point the building falls down because he punched out all the walls.
Exactly.
It's being supported by GameCube controllers.
Oh, Kilo, tell us to respond to this comment and let us know if the controller still worked, because I bet it did. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. That was Jala. Ben, what does Robin say?
Robin says, "This wasn't me, but my brother, in a fit of rage at SNES playing Super Soccer, drop-kicked the console on the eject button, utterly frustrated with losing to his friend. He was 28 at the time."
Uh-oh.
Mine personally, I played Rock Band 1 to the point that the disc started to crack from the center out. Only the plastic disc was damaged, the data part was unbroken, and the disc was playable up until Rock Band 2 came out. I later learned I was at risk of having the disc shatter in my 360.
Yeah, that was not just you. Actually, the
Oh,
same
really?
thing.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, the same thing happened with my copy of Rock Band 1. It was a manufacturing defect, especially with the launch era ones. Like for the games from around the launch of Rock Band 1, there was like an insecurity in the center ring, which caused those small cracks. And you were fortunate because my crack got to the data layer about 2 months after the game came out, which was out of warranty. So I had to trade it in as defective and then get a new copy. So that was not by any fault of your own. That was just you playing the game as normal.
Huh.
So I hope you feel absolved. 28. That's how old I am. That's like if I got up and just wheeled around and just drop kicked my MacBook.
If you got that on film, I bet we could go internet viral.
I suppose. Chubby guy kicks a laptop. I'm sure that is all the videos. Let's see here. Dennis, what does David say?
David says, I bought a third-party memory card and then after a fit of rage ate it. What? I bought a third-party memory card for the PS1 that was supposed to be able to hold 4 times the amount of the normal cards. What it did instead was overheat and burned/melted. Oh, man. Luckily, I was there when it happened and the console itself was fine, but that memory card slot never worked again.
Scary.
Gotta test that stuff.
That's nuts. Oh my gosh.
Third party.
The funny thing is that I have a third-party memory card for the PS1 that's supposed to hold 4 times the data, and it works perfectly fine to this day.
Yeah, my I had this crazy, I forget what the brand was. It was like Activate or something like that. But it was like, it has like an LCD screen on it, and it's like 12 different memory cards in one that you like navigate around. But like, I'm kind of terrified to put that in a machine.
Yeah.
Like those Final Fantasy Tactics saves are not worth that. Huh. Ollie writes in saying, I haven't broken anything, but you might appreciate this story. I have a group of friends that I've played with for years. One of our favorite games to play was ISS Pro Evolution Soccer on the PS1. One of the guys got good at it, really good at it. So good that he was basically unbeatable. So during a tournament in my house, we tampered, quote unquote, with his controller. Tampered meaning opened it up and rewired it so that when he pressed square, it registered as the circle button. Wow. So then we all took turns beating him. We've never actually told him either and still kind of rub it in every now and then. Joke was on me, though, as I had forgot that I had done it. And later that week, spent a very frustrating half hour of constantly breaking in Gran Turismo 2. Yeah, no, that's good. That story would not have been as good without the karma. But it's,
That's an elaborate hoax. Like, that takes some technical know-how.
Definitely, right? Yeah. That like I have to imagine there had to be like solder involved in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like buy your friend a bottle of booze or something like that if they're of that persuasion, because that's a good prank. But the fact that you haven't told them all these years later,
Right?
like even if you haven't talked to him in 10 years, like just like, yeah, hey, here's the thing.
I was trying to work up the courage to go pro. That destroyed my life.
You altered the course. Oh, every decision has a million threads attached to it. Huh. Jala, what does Phil say?
Phil says, I have an original model DS that has been with me since 2006. It's been all over the world, including an Iraq tour. It's been torn off its hinges in one spot, and the case is more scratches than paint, but damn it, it still works.
Nice.
That's impressive. I've seen my fair share of machines, specifically game consoles and stuff that have come back from Iraq, and trust me, those ones didn't work. So you must have really taken care of your DS.
It sounds like Nintendo gets the award for this multiplayer.
Oh, most certainly. Yeah, no, this is good. That relates to my story, but we'll get to those at the end. Why don't we round this out, Ben, by reading Mikhail's?
Mikhail says, my child keeps chewing off bits of my thumbsticks when I'm not looking.
I love the brevity here. I imagine because he turns around and sees that it's happening again and has to dash off.
No, there's an edit there. He added more.
He says,
okay.
He says, that's why I'm bad at Rocket League. Yes.
Yes, yeah, that must be it. Huh.
No, he's not bad at Rocket League. I've played with him. He's fine.
Oh, gosh, that's what you have to look forward to, Dennis.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Gotta get him trained good. Look, if you're going to slobber on it, at least slobber towards midfield, please.
Well, there's like a spray you can put on there that'll make it taste nasty, and then wait, that's for like pets.
Yeah, that's for getting them to stop chewing on their fingernails.
Yeah. No, I had that as a kid. It worked wonderfully. Not.
You just had a crappy taste in your mouth as you chewed.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. Let's do ours. Mine's pretty quick. I've never thrown a controller out of anger. I erased a save on Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past before by turning off the machine more vigorously than I otherwise would have. But my original DS Lite, because you have to just for me, because my hands are pretty big, it's hard to hold that system, in a different way. And I would take my right index finger and wrap it around the front of the machine as I was holding it to kind of give it like a little bit of a pincer kind of thing, like I was playing Tony Hawk or whatever. And that finger would rest on the rightmost hinge. In my original DS Lite, that pressure of kind of like holding this was around the time I was playing the Final Fantasy IV remake for it, just caused that hinge to fall off. So it was not a single act of violence. It was just me compensating for how uncomfortable it is to hold some of these things sometimes that ultimately resulted in the destruction of this machine. But fortunately, my 3DS is an XL, and it's easy to hold on to. It's like holding onto a lunch tray. And that's the way I like it, damn it. Yeah. Jala, how about you?
I'm pretty boring. I take very good care of my stuff, and I can't think of a time that I've even so much as dropped a damn thing. So I beat up my phone a lot more than I beat up any game system I've ever had, and that's just because my phone will be in a pocket, and girls' clothes are not meant to have pockets, or rather their pockets are not meant to be functional. So fuck you, designers of girl clothes. I fucking hate your guts. So anyway, my shit falls out all the time, including my phone. And anyway, it has an accident plan. It's fine. So I do game on it, but that's about the only thing that ever happens. And I have not destroyed a phone or cracked a screen or anything like that. So I'm pretty boring. Like I take it's all good to go. The only thing I can think of that's like a disaster of some kind is back when many moons ago, the first time I played Final Fantasy VII was on my PC because I didn't have a PlayStation at the time and I did have a computer. And then our PC crashed and my data was on there and it was like pretty near the end. And then the computer died and my save was gone. And I was like, fuck you. And I never went back to that game.
Yeah, no.
The end.
Huh. Yeah, that's if you haven't broken a phone screen, you're luckier than 80% of the people that I know.
Yeah, I've never broken anything on my phone or anything. None of that.
Impressive.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I got two. One is the PS3 controller that I had when we were playing Modern Warfare 2. We had like a permanent divot that was made in the controller from where you would press in the thumbstick to go running forward. So just after playing the game long enough, that kind of ruined that controller.
Yeah.
And then the other one I can think of is, this is somewhat embarrassing, but when I played Risk on my computer, like when I was younger, whenever I would get really upset, like if you were going in like 15-4 and like would lose or something, I would shake my computer monitor, but I never destroyed it. So
You're just trying to shake some sense into it. Like, obviously you should have won.
Damn you!
It just needs to understand that.
just trying to shake up the RNG. Yeah.
No, you're just rolling the dice. You're trying to. Unfortunately, computer monitors don't have tilt.
Yeah.
Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, mine was quite by accident. But I had just finished a stretch of gaming and stood up to stretch, and didn't realize that I was directly under our spinning ceiling fan.
Uh-oh.
And it just smacked the controller out of my hand and across the room.
Did it break?
No, it worked. It worked okay after that, but there's like a nick taken out of it where the fan hit. But that like made me jump more than anything else that I can remember. Just it was to have something like that, the whirling blades of death this close to your fingers and knock something out across the room was terrifying. So yeah, not in a fit of rage, but definitely given some hardware some tough love.
Mm-hmm.
A ceiling fan fell on a friend of mine's head and left a big scar.
Oh, wow.
I'm glad that the ceiling fan did not fall on you, because that reminded me of such an instance.
Yeah, that would have been way worse.
Yeah.
And then one of my friends opened up the door, and the door slammed right into the same spot that he was injured.
Oh no.
On his head. It was terrible. He felt so bad that this had happened, of course, to the person who was injured, but that was funny and terrible.
Yeah. Huh. Well, yeah, thank you everybody for writing in. If you want to participate in this section, we have the Facebook page at facebook.com/thelevelpodcast, where you can watch for those to go up sometime on Tuesday afternoon.
The grind.
Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past week or so. Does anybody have something they want to start out with?
I can go because I just have a short little thing.
Go ahead.
I play Knights of the Republic still, and I play a little bit of Rocket League. I'm off of Terrace and Knights of the Republic. I'm still playing Rocket League. Same maps. So, yeah.
So are you sticking to the same maps in Rocket League so you can learn them, or are you...
No, I was just trying to make a joke. It's the maps have not changed in Rocket League.
Okay.
So.
All right. I didn't know if that was like, if there were like map specific lobbies, like, oh, I know this particular one really well.
So, there are different modes that you can play when you do matchmaking, like most multiplayer games. So there are a couple that are like unique. Like they introduced something in season 2 called like Rocket Labs, where they're more experimental maps. So there's a soccer field that's in the shape of a donut, kind of. Where
Can you say donut again?
Donut. Donut. Is it? Am I saying it wrong?
No,
Say it right, don't it?
No, you're just you are saying it like Dr. Zoidberg says robot.
Robot.
Yeah, I don't mean to make you self-conscious. It's just
That's
funny.
fine.
Yeah.
But that one's cool. So the goals are like back to back, essentially. So if you want to try and defend your goal and you're by their goal, it's very close. So I don't know. Anyway, but yeah. So the maps are the same though.
Okay. And so you said you're off of Terrace on Star Wars. That is the first planet.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's
you
probably about a sixth of the way through the game, maybe more.
Have you gotten force powers yet? You always get force powers.
Yes, I am on Dantooine now.
And you've done your
force
training.
powers.
Yeah. And then this is where the game opens up and it gives you the opportunity to go to different mainstay Star Wars planets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it still holding up to your memories, to your expectations?
Right now it's just basically going through nostalgia because it's, I feel like I was able to do all the missions. I kind of already knew like all the optimal solutions. It was more just remembering them when they were prompted. So even it's weird, just like even like the dialogue, like you just remember the beats of the dialogue.
Yeah.
Just things that, you hadn't thought about in a long time. So, it's still interesting. I'll probably see it through to the end, but I don't know how quickly I'll get through it. So, yeah.
Huh. Cool. After you beat this, are you going to go on? I mean, if you beat this, are you going to go on to 2?
I have not decided yet.
Okay.
Hopefully another game comes out that piques my interest.
Like, what's on the horizon for you?
I mean, I want to play No Man's Sky, given that it's a good game. So, or that
We'll see about.
I mean,
that.
it is a highly anticipated game that kind of ticks a couple of your boxes.
yeah. So, I mean, if the buzz is accurate, then that will be an interesting game to play. But we'll see.
Okay. Cool. Jala, how about you?
Okay. So, first off, I have to ask a question. In 80 days, have any of you done a north to south run?
I have tried but failed. I've tried twice, but I've
did
always
it.
died the same
I
way.
did it.
God
I
damn
did
it! You just wanted to rub it in.
No. Actually, it's funny because, see, I was listening to an audiobook of Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, and because I had never listened to Agatha Christie or read Agatha Christie before, so I'm like, I'm
really
gonna
good.
just it was fun. So anyway, because of that, I was like, Orient Express, it makes me want to play 80 days, and then I didn't even go that way.
Right.
I'm like, hey, everybody was talking about on the podcast about going north. Well, I'm gonna go north. So
was
I did.
was that content out the last time you played? I forget. Like,
I don't
because,
know. Like I only played one time, and I went, like around the equator area, not like
right.
Horizontally. Damn it.
It just
Anyway,
that was just like post-release, like not DLC, but it was an update that added the North Pole run.
I technically didn't even go all the way around both poles. I went to the North Pole, and then we went down.
You circled back,
But I didn't actually go to Antarctica. I went to the bottom of South America, or not even, did I? Anyway, and then
although you would have come down in Russia, like.
Well, no. Like I went down to the bottom of South Africa, but then we or South America rather, and then we went up, and then we went across, and then got stuck somewhere in Atlantis in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and then just went up, and we didn't even actually completely go around, but it still counted, and it was 74 days, so whatever.
Hey, nice.
And good job, Jala. That was my second time doing it.
Nice.
I thought if you went around the North Pole, it was so hard that it took you a significant amount of time. I'm surprised you got around the North Pole and then had enough time to kind of derp around and go to as close to the South Pole as you could.
Well, we were sabotaged and we were stalled out and,
it's
things
like
that.
a crew revolt mystery when you get up there on the icebreakers.
That's fine, but I did the thing, and then I moved on. And then the thing is, there's gyrocopters and other magical things that go very fast on the other side. So I had all this time to spare until we got, imprisoned in Atlantis by mermaid people.
You get on Santa's sleigh.
Yeah, basically. Anyway, no. So I did that. That was the thing that happened. So yeah. The next thing I did was I finished Lone Wolf, which I talked about, not last time, but the time before that. So, yay, I finished it. And listener Chris jumped back in to watch me at the end when I was finishing it up. And he's like, oh, wow, you're farther along than I thought. I'm like, bah, ha, ha, ha. I have been working on it undercover. Anyway, so it actually gets really fun, and I rather enjoyed it. You get into a definite rhythm with the battles. Like, remember how I mentioned before that it was kind of tricky because of all the quick time events in the battles, and then because I'm left-handed, it was hard for me to do all the clicking. Well, you get accustomed to it, and then it's easier to do. And so I didn't have misses the same way that I was, where I just screw up parts.
Yeah.
As you go on, you definitely have a good sense of empowerment, because as you gain your levels and have more access to more Kai power and whatever stamina and things like that, you can do cooler shit and you can combo it, and it's pretty awesome. It's a great gratifying feeling when you go through a battle with some of these things that kicked your ass before, and you're like, ha, you didn't even land one blow. Ha, ha, ha. Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So it was really fun, and it does actually have a surprising amount of intricacy, given the fact that it's a text-based game that you wouldn't think the battle system and all of that would be quite so involved because, that would normally be kind of drudging in a text-based kind of adventure. But
is it more or less involved than like the computerized version of Sorcery?
I would say it's more involved than that.
Okay.
You have the ability to upgrade your equipment. Your equipment degrades over time. You have a whole shop that you can have a mercantile aspect going on. You master your different skills, and depending upon what skills you have that you choose in the beginning, certain stats will, and then also by like what choices you make throughout, that are not non-combat situations.
Yeah.
You can buff up certain skills. Like my intelligence was like 30 something, and with all the extra buffs of the equipment I had, it was up in the 40s. And like my Kai power, which is equivalent to magic, just regened so freaking fast that I was just like throwing, I had skills like mind over matter, where you can throw objects at the enemies, and survival skills where I could regen life anytime I did a successful attack and things like that. So I was just kicking everybody's ass because my mana regen was super, super high thanks to my specialization. So it was fun. It's super cheesy because it's like, based on the books, choose your own adventure books, which are made for little kids, little boys specifically. So there's some parts that are just awesomely terrible in that, young adult choose your own adventure, traditional fiction kind of way. But quite entertaining. I was really glad to play it. It took me the average, if you go to howlongtobeat.com, is like I think 15 hours or something like that.
Oh wow.
I played it for more like 18, but that's really because I was derping around and laughing my butt off, like exchanging jokes with Chris and talking about the game and talking about the original books and stuff. So, and then too, I would just get up and walk away and be like, hey, I'll come back to this in a minute. I got to go make a sandwich or something and, come back. But it was really fun. I would definitely recommend it. I know I was kind of ragging on it quite a bit the last time I talked about it.
But it sounds like you hit your stride. I mean, like finding that combat rhythm sounds like a huge part of it.
That's a big part of it, and I want to play it again just to see what happens if I go the other way, or if I get different skills this time. And there's even lockpicking, lockpicks, and lockpicking parts and mini games and things like that. So,
which is like content that you couldn't get at because you didn't spec for it.
Yeah, and like the lockpicks, you can do that no matter what. You can pick locks, you can try anyway. But there are a bunch of different ways to solve pretty much any situation that you find yourself in. And again, like because I have a tendency to specialize in a certain focus, it really made it badass when that super high intelligence score paid off. Because in the beginning, you're on a low level, you don't have very much by way of magic or stamina or health, and you don't have a heavy hitting swing. It's harder to play, but then as you go, then you're like super wizard warlock guy.
Yeah.
So it was fun. So I like it. I recommend it. And it went on, I want to say it was like $3 or $4 when I bought it on sale on Steam. Like, wait for one of those sales if you don't want to buy it right out. It will go to dirt cheap, and then buy it and play it. It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about these kind of like, this isn't quite a visual novel, but it's close enough. Like, just if you want something more mechanically based, but still has a narrative like that, this feels pretty, suitable. Right?
Yeah, it's more or less like it's an adventure game for the battle sequences, and then for the rest of it, it's a visual novel.
Yeah.
With occasionally when you make a choice, you may have to do some button presses, in order within a time limit, quick time event again, in order to successfully execute whatever it is you're trying to do, like some dexterity move or whatever to dodge around falling debris or something. So, so that was fun.
Nice.
The last thing that I played was Hakuoki Warriors of the Shinsengumi. Now,
I'm super happy you wrote this in Slack so I can put it in notes without butchering it.
So, Hakuoki, I talked about the visual novel before and how much I absolutely love it. And I played it on iOS, and then I bought it on PlayStation, and I played it there too, and all this. Well, this game is actually the reason why I bought a Vita. And it's funny because I knew from the get-go that it was going to be a shitty game, and I bought it anyway. And I was like, that's fine, because I just want to play it and see it anyway. I don't care that it's going to be crap. Right. And it is crap. And it's fine, because all it really made me do is want to go back and play the visual novel. And here's why. They recycle stuff. They have all new voice recordings for this. This Warriors of the Shinsengumi is an action game where you play the samurai who are in the original visual novel. So rather than playing a female character who ends up getting entangled with all the samurai and having all this crazy stuff happen to her, you are instead all the warriors themselves, and you fight the battles. There's two modes. You can go through Chronicle or Memorial mode. Memorial mode is where you go through all the fights from the visual novel. Okay. And in order to summarize the story, which I don't even know why they did this, in order to summarize the story beats that anybody who's just playing this game, having never played the visual novel, they just literally lift scenes from the anime series and drop them in there and put subtitles on them and have clips of the anime in there. And then they're like, bleh. And then here's a generic looking level design with some really terrible AI controlled samurai who are infinite, who keep coming at you, and simple button pushes to destroy things. And then you can have a talkie bit.
Jala, this sounds like a fucking nightmare.
It's horrible.
I'm looking at screenshots of this.
It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. There's nothing innovative or challenging about it. And like I said, it's and even the Chronicle part that is the original storyline, they even flat out say that it's Gaiden, and it doesn't have anything to do with the actual visual novel. So it's horrible. But it's the reason why I have a Vita. So now I have a Vita. So now I need to get some good games to play.
Now you have a Vita for all the amazing, I hope this doesn't not that a system needs an ambassador and not anything needs defending, but I hope this doesn't make you think that the Vita's just a shit machine.
No, I definitely don't. Like I said, when I think I even said it when I played the visual novel. I was like, okay, I know this game is going to be terrible, and I'm going to play it anyway.
Yeah. So, so the combat, is it just this really looks like a sub Dynasty Warriors kind of thing? And I don't mean that as a slag against Dynasty Warriors. If you want that kind of thing, go for it. But is there anything mechanically interesting about the fights, or is it just real basic tappa 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 combo kind of stuff?
Tappa tappa tappa, and hey, you have a Sakura bar, and when the Sakura bar goes up all the way, you can do a special attack by pushing a button. There's not even a combo. You just push a different button, and it's not even set up to really be an action adventure game. It's kind of like they made this game just so that way people who like the visual novel but don't play anything but visual novels can still muster this game, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. It's terrible.
I mean, it sounds like an Ultra Despair Girl situation, but that, it's a really tedious survival horror game, but at least that has different kind of puzzle encounters and stuff. This sounds...
Oh, no. There's no variance, really. It's just terrible. So no, it's one of those things that I was playing and laughing the whole time I was playing it. This is so bad. Oh my God, it's terrible.
Wow.
That's fine. But I needed to address it because I had mentioned that I was going to play it at some point and get it. And this, I've done my duty. I played it.
Did this get a retail release, or was this a PSN kind of thing?
It was originally released on the PSP in a physical form, and then they released it on the digital store, which is how I got it via my Vita.
Oh, it's really great that they preserve this. Huh.
Well, the original visual novel is also available on the PSN store, but I recommend getting the PS3 version of the visual novel because the visual novel is awesome. I love it. I want to go back. I played it several times through. I will probably go back and play it again sometime soon because this game made me want to.
Yeah.
But so I definitely recommend the visual novel. That is Stories of the Shinsengumi. Don't play anything that says warriors on it. It's bad.
Oh boy, it starts with a text crawl. That's great.
It's so bad.
I want to look at a video of this.
Yeah, it's the whole like I said, I elicited enjoyment out of it just for the sheer fact that I'm like, this is such terrible. You know, it's one of those things that is so bad that it just kind of wraps back around, and you're like, it's weird and terrible, and I'm playing it and I don't know why I'm doing it.
Wow, enemies just popped in, like they drew in about what appears to be like 10 feet away from the main character,
and they're endless. And then not only that, but most of the time they just kind of stand there. They're terrible. Like there's nothing to this game.
Wow.
It's horrible. And that's all.
So wait, you have to like go over to kill them? They don't even come towards you?
Oh, they walk towards you and they wait like several seconds before they try to attack you.
Right.
And then you can just beat them up, and they're like endlessly swarming you, like attached to you. You know,
I don't have the sound on, so I can't confirm this. Is this the kind of game that has voice samples? Like
Yeah,
very
it has
annoying,
voice.
like, ugh. Wow. I'm sorry you invested part of your life into this.
No, I was quite entertained just because I'm just like, oh, it's so shitty. Like I'm the same person who, if I'm watching a movie, it can be a very, very bad movie, but it needs to be completely shit.
But like
then it's a drinking movie, and I will totally do that with company so we can have that golden memory together and then talk about it. In this case, it was all just me, so it's not nearly as funny, but at the same time I was still like, oh, this is such crap.
But like a bad movie lasts like 90 minutes to 2 hours, and you have people there with you.
Well, this really did not take very long to get through.
Well, I'm sure. Like it sounds like shovel. Whoa, how long to be? It says it's 4.5 hours.
No, I did not play it for. I didn't even play it for an hour, and I got through the memorial part, and I'm like probably about halfway through the other Chronicle version.
This is ridiculous, Jala.
It is totally ridiculous. Don't play it ever. Go play the visual novel. The end.
The end. Huh. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, the only new thing that I've been playing is Minecraft for the first time since Alpha.
Whoa, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
Yeah, like when I bought it in college for $5. And I, obviously I've been aware of it since then. I just have never, I tinkered around with it for a couple days and was just like, oh, cute. And then, hadn't touched it since.
What inspired you to go back to it?
There's a server for my work group.
Okay.
That they all play on the same map. So I got invited into that and was like, I know I've got access somewhere, and had to dig like you said, 5 to 6 years back in my email, but found my access codes and everything like that, and was able to jump right back in. So this is a very different game than the one I last played.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I knew it had evolved, but I think it really hit home when I was trying to get from point A to point B at night and saw the Enderman, I think it is.
Oh, yeah, the Slenderman ripoff.
Yeah, I was like, oh, enemy type, and just immediately died to it and had no idea why.
Well, yeah, because you looked at it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, that was a bad idea. I'm very disempowered both from the familiarity with the world part, and then I've also just forgotten everything that I even had known. Like, I remembered none of the recipes. And kind of had to mess around with that. The rule for the server is that you don't look anything up online. You just ask other players.
Oh, wow.
So it's like a community building thing or whatever.
That does not feel enforceable whatsoever.
No, not at all. So I think it's kind of lightly enforced at best.
Okay.
But it's a great excuse to talk with people and
right.
and all that. But yeah, I could not remember anything from when I had played earlier. So that was frustrating and fun all at the same time, because I got to go through that process of discovery again, which was good. And then I also had some people to kind of guide me through the trickier parts, and I'm up and running. So I'm to the point where I've gotten some iron equipment, which is decent enough to kind of move about with. And the map that we're on has a bunch of islands in the area that they've kind of set up shop. And so basically every person has gone and claimed their own island. And I had been staying on the main person's island and kind of milling around there. But I think I'm to the point where I'm ready to go and start my own island and build my estate. So it's funny that Minecraft came up earlier in this episode, and it's very much kind of a make your own fun game. So that's going to be the fun is building my own house. I think I'm going to go for like a castle theme.
Okay.
Yeah.
What other kind of themes are present on the island?
The island that I was on had like a very modern aesthetic to it. Lots and lots of glass.
Mm-hmm.
So you could kind of see everywhere from it. And what they had been working on building is an underwater tunnel. So, they're
like a shark tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah. Like a shark tunnel. Exactly. And I don't know how exactly they did that or cause obviously I don't know how you hollow out water in the game. That's interesting to me.
There's a way that you do it. It involves a lot of bucket play.
Yeah. So it's fairly long. I think their vision is to eventually like connect islands with it, which is going to take a while.
Oh, probably build like a railway with it.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool to see. And that's the aesthetic that I've been messing with. Outside of the immediate house, it doesn't go too far. Like, then it devolves quickly into like Minecraft mining and looking for resources.
Yeah.
The other island that's big that I haven't visited yet apparently has something built into a cliffside. So that's cool.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah. So it should be a fun little creative outlet.
So there are whole systems that you have not interacted with.
I was pre-Redstone.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose so. But there's there's alchemy, there's enchanting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No idea. Like, I saw the book and I was like, enchant? What? Okay. I'm like, what's his name? Not Tom Cruise. Tom Hanks.
Robin Williams.
Tom Hanks coming back from the island after Castaway.
Yeah.
Just, I've got my light switch here. That's amazing me. Can't believe.
Oh gosh, you fuckers take this for granted.
Yeah. But it's been fun. It's mostly me getting my feet under me again, but there's something just nice about hollowing out a giant area.
Oh, for sure.
And kind of exploring,
imposing order upon a chaotic world.
Yeah, and while I was staying in this other guy's house and using all his stuff, like I kind of left a bunch of extra iron ore that I had with him.
Mm-hmm.
Smelted that down as like a thank you. So I was a good Minecraft house guest, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. Like, when I was playing on my work server for a little bit, like the expanding radius of just completely blighted land that had been stripped for resources was it was really wide. Right? Yeah. Like you had to venture further and further out, and there were like outposts along the way to like, well, this place hasn't been mined yet, and people were leaving signs like, oh, all of this has been plundered, and like all of our mines, because everybody dug straight down to bedrock and then started going in, all the different directions. All of the mines eventually interconnected.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there's an end game now where you try to summon a dragon or something.
It's like you go to the end and you fight the Ender Dragon. Listen to me, I sound like a fucking grandpa.
Yeah.
All the kids are reading books about these at Barnes and Noble. But no, like there is an end game to like get stuff to make beacons and pillars and stuff like that actually give like stat boosts over like a short radius. But I don't know how. I'm not sure how many times you can do that per server.
Yeah. So the most recent patch notes that show up, it said something about like the end dragon can now be resummoned or something. So I don't know if that means like if you fail to beat it, you can try again and you couldn't before, or if you beat it, then you can just pull it again for fun. I don't know.
Yeah. Because like, what's the point after you after you open that up on a server? If that's the end game, then everybody's just spinning their wheels, doing the thing that Minecraft was for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible. No, it's great. It's Minecraft is a fun game. Is that all?
Yeah, that's all new. I'm continuing to grind away at Danganronpa 2. That's a lot of fun. but nothing new to say about that yet.
Okay, yeah, I want to make sure you can form a solid opinion on it before I ask you to do comparisons and such.
Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna have to share your screens of your Minecraft stuff.
Yeah, I will do.
Cool. Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna go do my thing. Ain't played shit.
Ooh,
I know, right?
light week.
Light week. No, it was just a whole bunch of stuff conspired. Like my family came into town and I was spending time with them over the time I would have been playing stuff for the show and getting ahead on assignment play for other stuff. And it was just like, there's really nothing that I've played an awful lot of that I can actually like speak to with any degree of, thoroughness. So yeah, I'm going to let us end this show a little bit early.
Whee!
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, I lapsed there for a second. Do you all want to button it up?
Buttons!
Alrighty.
The credit.
So this has been level number 141. Thank you so much for listening. There's all the usual stuff that you can do. The iTunes, the Facebook that we mentioned before. Telling friends is a big thing. Mentioned it a couple of times here, but we've got the Duckfeed.tv/news, which is a thing I do every Friday after I put the show up, where you can go find stuff, find out about what's happening across the network, either special events like polls and things like that, or find out what's happening on other shows. If you're listening to this and you're not a Dark Souls fan, I would encourage you to go check out what's happening on Bonfireside Chat right now, because we are in the off season and talking about kind of cool stuff. So it's like a miniature like watch out for fireballs, with basically mixed in with a bunch of stuff we just kind of want to talk about. So the llast episode of that was just kind of like, let's talk about At the Mountains of Madness and The Thing, which is a great book and one of my favorite movies of all time. So I'm really proud of that episode. I would like to direct people to that. But otherwise, yeah. Am I missing anything? Does anybody have anything they want to plug, draw attention to, etc.?
No, thanks for Jala stepping in 2 episodes in a row now.
I know. Thank you, Jala.
You can't get rid of me.
Not that we don't want to. Yeah. Cool.
Well, now I kind of want to try just to challenge
You can try. I am like a piece of Nintendo hardware.
Oh, gosh. So I've been Cole Ross at Cole Ross on Twitter.
I've been Dennis Furia at dfuria on Twitter.
Jala-chan in places.
Merkelizer at places. Also Ben.
And stick around for some titles. So titles are pretty weird this week. We didn't have an awful lot of like on-air pithy stuff. So I want to see if anybody has any responses they want to throw in.
Ain't got shit.
I did not have a pen nearby, so I have nothing.
I have just 2.
Okay.
The first one is intense intestines.
Can you give me some context for that?
We were talking about eating the memory card.
Okay.
And someone said that's intense, and Ben said that's intense intestines.
I missed that one.
I think I said both of those.
What else?
And then the second one is chubby guy drop kicks Mac.
Let's see here. Drop kicks. Oh, drop kick is all one word. Nice. All right. Let's see here. So I have 4. Let's see here. You do things that it was nice.
Yay!
As only a loved one can.
Mm-hmm.
Monitors don't have tilt. A lot of bucket play.
I like that one. Because I chuckled when you said bucket play. Yeah.
So does anybody have any thoughts?
I mean, I'm a sucker for the word bucket play, so I would vote for that.
Okay, I can go with that one too.
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay, a lot of bucket play.
Buckets.
Nice.
Buckets. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks everybody. Jolly, I hope you don't blow away.
I know it's starting to get really windy out there. And tornado watches and stuff. And
Jesus.
flood warnings.
Hang in there.
Yeah, no, get inside, please.
Remember, I'm like a piece of Nintendo hardware. I'm fine.
I understand, but I also want you to be as safe as possible. And Ben, you be safe as well, because I understand you're getting some shit too.
Yeah, today was fine. We'll see. I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
Dennis.
Should we? Yeah, we should talk about South by.
Yeah, I'll just call you up real quick so we don't have to keep the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, take care, everybody.
All right. Have a
safe
good week,
travels
guys.
and all. Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah, blah.